Just want to hit on a couple of the controversy and get your opinion on a couple of the controversial things that were going in or that happened, I guess, going into this card and then coming out of this card. And the first one going into this card was the exclusion of a notable name from the card. Sami Zayn did not make the trip over to Saudi Arabia because of his, and was later found out why, and it was just because WWE pretty much had told Sami that, look, it's probably not advisable for you to make that trip. And so Sami was like, okay, no problem, I'll take the weekend off or whatever. But it was because of his Syrian Canadian heritage, and of course the issues in the Middle East between Syria and I guess the rest of the Middle Eastern countries and that stuff, but this, especially between the Saudis and the Syrians, are, you know, you look on any newspaper and you can Google it and you can find out the issues between both of them. What's your thoughts about Sami Zayn's exclusion from this card?
I understand it from the political sense, but it is sad to discriminate because of religion and race and culture, which Sami was, not allowed to go because of this discrimination on this. And WWE's just like, we'll carry on without you. Bye. It shows that, whatever the government there's paying is more important than values.
I think there could have been a real simple solution to this issue. And it would have been fine, because you wouldn't have broadcasted this in Saudi Arabia. For the pre-show, don't do the pre-show at the building. Do the pre-show from Stamford, from the studios. And then that way you could have Renee Young host. You can
have your women's matches, yeah.
If you wanted to have a women's match, you can, but I wouldn't have thrown any other matches on this card. I like the look of it not having any matches on the pre-show, to tell you the truth. I thought it was okay with that. Or, I thought it flowed a little better. I think what you do, instead of flying JR and King essentially over for a 30-minute segment and then, saying, oh, well, you're not calling anything, so see you later.
Yeah.
I think what you end up doing is you do it from the studios in Stamford. You can have Renee Young, and you just don't air that pre-show in Saudi Arabia. You have your WWE Arabic crew do their stuff down there.
Yeah.
You can have them set up and use the touring pre-show set and that stuff that they have. And you just use the studio back for everybody else, for, the bulk of your viewers in North America. You could have your Renee Youngs, and you bring in Sami as a pre-show guest or as an analyst. And there you have, and just have him be Sami and just pump Kevin Owens' tires throughout the entire frickin' thing. Right?
That would be very annoying, but I do see value in that.
It's a way of using them. I mean, hindsight being 2020, it's a way of using them that weekend. So, I mean, that's one potential solution, right? And then your pre-show panel would consist of current superstar Sami Zayn, your normal, pre-show person, Renee Young. And I'm not a Renee Young fan. Here I am getting her work for the weekend. So there's something, right? This is how messed up this card is. I'm getting Renee Young work for the weekend. This is what it is, and you have JR and King swap in with, you could do even via satellite a hit with Byron Saxon if you wanted, or with Mike Rome or something on a pre-tape. It's 2018. You can easily do these things now. So I wouldn't have done the pre-show from the building. I would have done the pre-show from the studios in Stamford, and then just throw it to the building for the event.
That makes sense. You can easily do that, and then you can have them do their cultural stuff during the pre-show in their own arena.
Finn Balor at WrestleMania was rocking a LGBTQ t-shirt design that was being sold at the WrestleMania Superstar and that stuff. Like we mentioned before, Pro Wrestling's version of Pride Tape.
Yep.
And was obviously due to the oppressive laws over in Saudi Arabia, was not allowed to wear that garb. Was that just WWE conforming to local rules and customs, not wanting to offend anybody, or do you think that WWE should have been damned to torpedoes? This is part of the character. We stand by him. He can do and wear whatever he wants.
So Finn did a safe tweet based on this controversy saying, like, I haven't worn this gear since WrestleMania. So maybe that's just Finn's character and he did a WrestleMania moment. Maybe I think it is also appeasing the government because, you don't want to insult the country that just paid so much money to you by showing something that they're not cool with. So I think it's a bit of both. I think Finn, it was a WrestleMania gear for Finn for a special event, and he brought out all the people that work with this organization out for his entrance. And B, I do think it's a bit of working the government there to make them happy.
Right, exactly. Our final bit of controversy that we can talk about kind of happened during the event itself. It happened online via Twitter, which seems to be the hotbed of all things controversial nowadays. From Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer. He threw a tweet,
I remember that.
He threw a tweet out, and I have the tweet right here, and I quote, "To be fair, every wrestling company throughout history has been about money, not morality. This is not new or surprising. If a racist country offered New Japan Pro Wrestling this level of money and said you must keep your Americans home, they'd keep their Americans home." And a follower of mine, at Diluted Dante on Twitter, actually had a really awesome response to this, and it's something that I actually liked and had promised to discuss with you on this. The obvious difference is the women's revolution WWE have been banging on about. Turns out that they're all about equality until they're offered a pile of cash. If they're going to try and ride a wave of feminism, then accept the charge of hypocrisy that comes with doing this event. And that's the tweet.
Okay.
Yeah. So your thoughts on, I guess, either the Meltzer tweet or Diluted Dante's thoughts, or both?
I think it's such a touchy subject. How much what does $1 Million Man say? Everyone has a price?
Yeah, pretty well.
So, I mean, how much, Kellen, would I have to pay you to run down Rogers Place naked?
$100 million. There we go.
So, how much would it cost a government to be like, no women allowed? 10 million? 20 million?
Well, the rumored price that the Saudis paid for this event was somewhere between the $100 million to $200 million price to WWE. And no sports league in the world is going to turn down that money for an all-star game, a preseason game, you name it. So,
and who really needs money right now to start this football league?
Vince McMahon.
Yeah, so the dots are connected there. I agree with Meltzer's point here. He did have another controversial tweet after, because I guess one of his followers suggested, like, well, instead, why don't we do an all-women's event? And then he's like, well, that's not really good either. Then let's not have any African-American workers here, and let's have an all-black event. How would that look? And that also tweet got a lot of controversy and heat on him. Yeah, so it's just, you can't fix a problem with another problem. It's all about the money, and yeah, Vince is definitely looking for money because, he has a big project that he's undergoing, and you're probably going to see him take out more stocks to get that project, forward.
Right, exactly. So I think that all of the thoughts brought by all parties, including at Diluted Dante on Twitter and at Dave Meltzer, were very well thought out, and I feel and I agree with most, if not all, of what they they said on both sides, because there's both sides of the argument right there. It's
Mm-hmm.
the fan wondering why they're doing such, and then Meltzer coming out saying, well, this is the reason why they're doing such. But ultimately, it's the fact that if WWE was an actual legit pro sports league, like the EPL or NHL or something, and they were asked to do an exhibition game in Saudi Arabia, and they were presented with a $200 million blank check saying, here's $200 million, you guys name the teams, you pick the match, or you pick the terms, blah, 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 it's your event, but we just want you to host it from this city, at this venue, on this date. Can you do it for us? I don't think there's a sports league in the world that would say no to it. Therefore, there would not be an entertainment company in the world that would say no to it. And, of course, again, Saudi Arabia is trying this Vision 2030 initiative where they're trying to be more modern and more, I guess, Western culturalized a little bit. Or Westernized, I guess, is the correct terminology. So, it pays for them to do it. I mean, they said during the broadcast yesterday, which blew me away, is they just opened the first brand new multi-cinema movie theater in Saudi Arabia in 30 years earlier this year.
Wow.
I think in the city in Jeddah itself. So that's something we take for granted. How many movie theaters in our hometown have sprung up over the past 5 years, right?
You at least over a dozen movie theaters in Edmonton.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. For sure. With one more being built downtown as part of the new arena project, right? So, that's the thing, is that it's hot button, and it will continue to be hot button. I don't think that even if you offered a all women's pay-per-view from a European center like Paris or London even, or something like that would even rectify or be seen as equal. I think that would just be that wouldn't help matters at all. That would complicate more than anything else, right? So
it's like the movie Annie, when they came out with the black version of Annie a few years ago. I don't mean to sound stereotype, but that's what everyone called it, is Black Annie, because it's the same movie, the same story, just with African American actors now.
Right.